Okay, I'm live. I wanted to do this video actually as a recording, but on my phone, it's full of stuff, so I'm not able to actually do it. And I'm not a big fan of live streams or nothing like that. But I don't have enough space on my phone. There's a lot of videos I need to get rid of that I haven't gotten rid of yet, and then there's videos that I've done that I haven't actually uploaded yet. All that type of stuff. But I wanted to get on here because on Facebook I posted that something about, purging people from the page because of their beliefs. Now, if you know me, which a lot of my YouTube folks do, the ones that have been around for a bit, they know that I'm not, because there's two gentlemen on here who I respect. And one of them made the comment that they never purge people who have a different belief than they do. I've had people in the past say that they don't purge people because you get to know who's who. You get to know who's out there and that type of thing. And let me see. Let me get the exact here, and I'm not going to say their name because their opinion is totally cool, totally fine. I said slowly purging folks, but tired of folks defending stupidity or sitting idle and being mute. Now this is what that post is due to what's going on right now in Minnesota. And how you feel about it is how you feel about it. Right? Um and so that's cool. It's cool. But I had a lot of people saying, yeah, they've unfriended people and that type of thing. So I had one gentleman says, I don't purge anyone. I'd rather like engaging with people that don't think like I do. And that's cool. That's cool. But I basically said it's a difference of opinion because I don't want to deal with someone who's toxic. Right? There was another person who said purging people for any political opinions I should warn hinders growth. Being around people who only think the way you do keeps you in the same frame of thinking. That way you'll never have anything to challenge what you believe. What I believe is we should bite the bullet and have conversations despite our anger. Does that make sense? So here's what I because typing after a while, my phone, it's all thumbs. There's a lot of misspellings on my part and all of that, because even though I have a decent size, I have a Note. It's a pretty big phone, but still, like it's not good, and I'm typing faster than what I need to, and all that. Here's my take on it. I don't care about someone's political views. I really and truly don't. I've said that. I have a lot of people, and I've done videos talking about I surround myself around people who are not yes people. I don't want people who necessarily believe the same things that I do, but I do have a hardcore limit, and we all know this. The one limit I do have is when it comes to racism and bigotry. I can't rock with that. That's just not the way I'm cut. You know what I mean? I'm cut from a different cloth. I don't stand for that. I'm not saying that they do, but I don't stand for that. It's one thing to have a political view. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because to me, I think the whole political part of that is just tribalism. And I think it's silly. You see what I'm saying? I think that's completely silly. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the difference of opinions and all of that. I just don't think that there should be divisions and tearing people apart because of their views. I have someone on our Discord who's a good friend. We don't think the same. We have completely opposing views when it comes to certain things, but there's certain things we agree on. And he even said that he's afraid to comment on Discord because he's like, my views are a little different. And I'm like, I want that. I want to be challenged by it as long as you're respectful. Where I have a zero tolerance approach is racism of any kind, any form. That's just not what I'm about. I just that does not work for me. And so it's not about, and so this particular thing is not about politics. It's not about politics when people laugh about what's going on, in terms of and I can't say because you know how YouTube is, but the big situation that's going on, when people laugh about what happened to the man that's no longer here. When people laugh about that or they minimize it, that's not something where you can sit down and have a conversation with someone. That's someone who really and truly has some issues. If you can laugh at someone's death, then there's no conversation that needs to be had. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are upset. So when you have people that minimalize it, not these two gentlemen I'm talking about, but when you have other people who I'm getting rid of because they minimalize it or they normalize it by saying, well, not a big deal, then I got a problem with that. And and it's first off, it's my social media. I can have who I want on, who I don't want on. I can delete all day. I can delete everybody and have just one person on. And typically with this one, this is our joint account. It's our Hirschnoe account. Even on YouTube, I don't allow people to sit here and say all types of racist comments. For what? I just don't allow it. It doesn't matter if it's comments against white people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, none of that. Gay, straight, none of that. I don't like the division. I don't. We don't really have a lot of political conversations on here because I don't like the division that it actually leads to. I don't mind having a difference of opinion. There's a good friend of mine in Albuquerque. We're really good, close friends, but man, we disagree on a lot of big topics. But that's cool because he's got me to think about certain things and I got him to think about certain things. We're like, okay, we still disagree, but yeah, I mean, and we're cool at the end of the day. Like, I'm not a baby to where I can't, everybody has to be in this echo chamber with me. I don't want that. But there's a certain way that you have to come at people. If you come at someone with disrespect, or if you disrespect a situation, that's a problem. I don't think someone laughing about what happened and someone is begging to live, I don't think that's funny. And I don't think that is an area where you can sit and talk to someone. To me, it's utterly gross. Simple as that. It doesn't make you a man or a woman just because you can sit there and tolerate. Now, I gave a good example that if I bought a house and all of a sudden I got this strange stinky smell and realized weeks later that there's an open sewer that's down the street that I didn't realize was there. Am I a fool and I just sit around and spray perfume in the air hoping that stink will go away and just deal with it? Or do I just basically move? You know what I mean? Like, I can sit and spray all day long. This isn't perfume, by the way. This is actually medicine for when you have a headache, it's Chinese medicine. But I can spray all day long and it's still going to stink. You know what I mean? Like, that does nothing. You have to sometimes take a stand. Now, you can sit here and talk about the way people are going about this may be wrong or right or whatever, and that's your view. That's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. You can sit here and talk about a whole lot of different things, and I've seen people from many different aspects talk about it. That's one thing. But when you cross a line where it's not civility, that's where I have an issue. The other thing is, I think sometimes people think that I'm from Seattle, because there's this view that people in Seattle, especially if you're black, you ain't seen nothing, right? Maybe. But I'm not from Seattle. I'm actually from the South. I told this story, and I'm going to post this also to Facebook so that these two gentlemen, if they want to see the video, they can. But again, typing all day, I'm going to have a whole lot of spelling issues and everything else, right? But when I went to high school, my freshman year, first into high school, and my sister graduated the year before from high school because she's like 4.5 years older than me. So we go to the gym, and they do this pep rally. The cheerleaders finish doing their thing, and all of a sudden, some guys in the back, white guys, threw up a rebel flag. I'm from Kentucky, Tea Grove, South Central Kentucky. I'm about 60 miles north of Nashville. So they threw up a rebel flag. All of the or most of the black students took a beeline and started beating this guy up, him and his friend. And then it was just a whole bunch of people fighting. Most people scattered. I mean, it literally, like a lot of folks just parted. And you probably had maybe 10 people that were involved in that whole situation. But there was a cascading effect afterwards, because afterwards you basically had all these different little fights that broke out amongst different people over the same issue of race. It got to the point where back in that time, there was a guy who was a part of the Klan. He was truly, hey, Eastad, who was truly a part of the Klan. This isn't someone just saying, well, maybe he is. He was verified. He's been in the news and everything. He had burned churches, not only black churches, white churches, anybody that disagreed with him. And that guy walked through our school. Okay? This is Warren East High School. And people who went to school with me can vouch for this. In our cafeteria, there is a back, it's still the same way, because they remodeled the school prior to me going there, so it's still the same. But right by the cafeteria, there are doors where you can go out and sit on the patio. We thought it was cool because, we have a patio, before it didn't have a patio, back when my sister went there. So they had just finished all that remodeling, and he came from the parking lot, because the parking lot was kind of off to the left, but you could still see it from the lunchroom. He parked his car or whatever it was, walked into the cafeteria, walked into the doors, and as we were leaving from lunch, he was walking behind a lot of the students. And one of the students that he was walking behind was a black girl that I knew who was friends of my sister, because she was a couple of years younger. And he was just standing her hair as he was walking through there. And there was a few white kids cheering him on. There were a few white kids who had fear on their face because they knew who this guy was. So I understand. And the school got so bad to where the principal that was there, I don't know if he was fired or if he just quit, and they brought in a black principal. I remember it. So I have a pretty high tolerance, but there's certain things that I don't have tolerance for, and that is racism and bigotry. I just don't. I don't. And I remember when I was 22 or so, now the issue between black and white there is not as bad at all. It's kind of flipped. It's way different now. But just when I was going to school, we're talking like mid-90s. I graduated in 96. It was a completely different story. So I remember when I was 22, I went to a business, I think it was a restaurant, and there was a group of Mexican men who were sitting there at the table. And the waitress kept ignoring them, and brought food to my table and everything. And the other waitress says, "Hey, you got to them yet?" She said, "No, because they're not going to tip anyway." Now, this was when I was 22. Okay? So that's the type of stuff. And so we basically ate and left. Like, we had gotten our stuff, asked for a bill, and left. Because it was just disgusting. Now, I don't know how the situation is now because I moved long away from there at that point in time. But there's certain things that I just do not tolerate. Right? There's certain things that I just don't tolerate, and that's one of them. Because, I mean, the one gentleman, he mentioned that he grew up in East Texas and New Orleans and saw a lot of racism and that type of thing. That's true. I'm sure you have, and I respect that. But different people different people have different experiences. And for me, I believe either you stand for something or you don't stand for anything. There are certain people that no matter how much you talk to them and try to reason with them, it's not going to work. I've tried that. But I also am very cautious of who I spend my time with. Life is very short. And after losing my mom and losing other people, I mean, my sister just lost one of her close friends just the other day. Life is extremely too short. Just last year, I lost my mom in April. Noelle lost her mom in, I think, October. I can't remember the month. Just last year. Life is way too short for me to be spending it on people who don't value me as a person, or other people that may look differently than them as a person. I'm not going to sit there and waste my time talking to someone hoping that they're going to change, or trying to learn something from them, or they have a different view, so therefore this isn't like they have a different sports team. This isn't like they have a different political belief or religious belief or whatever. That's different. That's completely different. Or if they don't like Seattle because they think it's horrible, and they love to live in Charleston, South Carolina, because it's a lot better. Or that's different. That's completely different. Where I draw the line is when it involves certain things, and this is one of them. There's certain things I have zero tolerance for, and racism is one of them. I just have zero tolerance for that type of thing. So, and I said, maybe you're a better person than I am if you can sit there and handle and talk to people like that. Maybe you have a better holistic view than I do, right? Maybe you have better patience. Me personally, I just don't. That's just not who I am. I'm sorry if I'm ignoring the comments. I don't mean to. Let me go up and try to see what these are. Hold on a second. Interesting to understand that. Yeah, me too. Do that over there. Looking at the news right now, still boiling my blood. Yeah, Jeff. Echo chambers are breeding grounds for ignorance, which leads to bigotry. I agree. I agree. Um, and so yeah, I don't want to have an echo chamber, right? I really don't. Like, that's one of the things that keeps you from growing, because you're not able to see different perspectives, different sides, different views. And that's one of the reasons why I advocate people getting their passports, traveling the world, so you can see how other people live, and see that, what, sometimes other places have better ideas and how to handle things. It's not that we're the best at everything, right? So I respect that. Very insensitive. That's right. That's the trend these days. No compassion. One of the big things that I've seen, and maybe it's not that this is something new, maybe it has always been that way, and it probably has, is that people just have no empathy. Unless it affects them, you're finding more and more people who don't have any empathy. There was one guy whose fiance is black, and he's Asian, and he was basically saying some of the most insensitive, racist comments that other people were calling him out for. You know what I mean? Like, it's baffling. It's baffling. So yeah, there were a lot of people who deleted that person because that's toxic. Why would you want to be around someone who's toxic? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want someone on your page? I'm not saying that, when I open up my social media accounts, there should be rainbows and butterflies and flowers and, that type of thing. I'm not asking for that. But I also don't want to have someone that brings just trash, and that I'm just supposed to sit there and be like, well, I disagree with you, but let me sit here long enough and see if I can agree with you on something. I think that's just to me, that doesn't make any sense. Nothing wrong with removing bigots. There's a difference between people who disagree with you and bigots. We can handle disagreements, but bigotry is on a whole different level. You're exactly right, because bigotry can lead to violence. It can. I've seen it. You see what I'm saying? Like, it can lead to that. So yeah, and then you are who you're around and who you associate with. You may disagree with someone on various different things, right? And that's fine. But if you associate yourself with the underbelly of society, then that is kind of what people will think of you. It's not a noble thing. I'm not Jesus, right? Where whoever, I'm able to just, that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm a human being. And for me, I'm not going to be able to handle someone who thinks that, that I'm just, because I happen to be born a certain way, that I'm less than. It's just crazy. We're down south, Kentucky. Hey, what up? Remember you telling the story of your in-laws. Did they ever extend the olive branch now that you've had kids? Jeff, not really. Kinda, right? Kinda. Um, the situation was you have her Noelle's mother, father, and then Noelle has an older sister. Well, I mean, all of them are older than her, but the eldest sister, there's an older brother, younger sister, still older than Noelle, and then younger brother, all still older than Noelle, right? The youngest of the two, so the youngest brother and the youngest sister still have an issue. But the others have always been somewhat pretty cool. The oldest sister and the older brother has always been somewhat cool. The older brother has been really, really cool, always. The older sister was still a little bit skeptical, but has since been phenomenal. So in that sense, they came around. At the end of it all, Noelle's mom, at the very end, came around. You see what I'm saying? But what sucks is I didn't get to experience her as a person. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what sucks. The kids didn't get to experience her as a person. Now, part of this is obviously, we moved far away, but just not having that kind of sucks. So that's kind of where it is. You shouldn't have tolerance for them. I agree, Eastad. I agree. I mean, there's certain things that I can tolerate. There's certain things that I just definitely can't. And picking on people who have disabilities, I can't rock with that. I just can't. Uh, people like Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein, I just can't rock with that. I can't. Now, there may be some people who can and can talk to individuals like that. That's just not something that I can do. I just can't. You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that goes against everything that I am. You know what I mean? I'm all about positive. There are certain things that are negative in society, and definitely on things like Facebook, I definitely post that stuff and talk about it because it needs to be. There are many things that come across that happen in society that I don't talk about, that I don't post and don't mention, because if I did that, it would just be every second of the day. But there are certain things that obviously anger me. And so I'm going to post. Now, keep in mind, my friends list is about 2,500 people. Because a lot of these are people I don't know. I mean, I don't even know 2,500 people. I don't even know 25 people. So a lot of these are just people that, either I've added because, they're friends with Noelle, or they've asked to be added, or something happened. And that's cool. Or because of the channel. I mean, we have our thing there. Our YouTube channel page is listed there. And so I definitely add anybody, and especially when there's like Blasian couples, because there are some people who have questions like, well, you have kids and we're just starting out and blah, 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 blah. There's that commonality type thing. So there's a lot of that too, right? Not that we represent every single Blasian couple, because we don't, not even close. But, sometimes it's helpful to have that reference, right? And there's things I learned from that. There's a gentleman on our Facebook page actually that lives in Connecticut, I believe. And I actually look up to. He's in a Blasian relationship. I actually look up to him. He's a pretty cool guy. He's older than me. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes that's important to have. But do I really know any of these individuals? Not really. Some I went to school with. Noelle's adopted, so some of them are Korean adoptees. And in fact, the person that posted one of the most despicable comments, happened to be a Korean adoptee, right? And there were other Korean adoptees saying like, "What? Like, why are you thinking that way? You know what I mean? So anyhow, I wanted to get on here and kind of just, because I can go on and on and on. Noelle wanted to be, and she loves live streams, but I'm like, but if you get on here, you might say something that YouTube's gonna block. So not that it would be anything bad at all, no. But sometimes she'll forget and slip and say something, and then it's like that's something we can't say because YouTube's gonna block it. But at any rate, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you join our Discord, which will be probably down in the description box. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.